Assalamu alaikum. Dzień dobry. Ciao. Bonjour. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? My favorite day of the week, Friday. Many of you will know that already. And if you haven't been here before, well, a very warm welcome to you. And thanks for joining us. This is Ken at 10, live every weekday from our offices here in Southwest London, SW16 to be precise, Norbury, which is a fantastic Zone 3 commuter area situated between Streatham and Croydon. So thanks for joining us today. Obviously, the budget's a big thing this week, and thinking about the budget headlines, what's going on. The big thing for me, yes, we've got the stamp duty extension. That's great news. That was very widely trailed, wasn't it? A few other big headlines on it, though. Capital gains tax not increased. That's a big surprise. We're all expecting capital gains tax to go up, and in fact, it stayed where it was, which is great news. The 95% mortgages are the big news for me. They start from next month, and these are going to be, I think, the catalyst to really drive the rest of the market. And the reason for that is that we've had people stuck in flats now for a long time. And where we've had the incentives for the second time buyers up to £500,000, meaning a 15,000 stamp duty, for first time buyers, that hasn't really made a jot of difference at all. And the reason is they're already exempted from stamp duty at the lower levels of up to 350. So therefore, the 95% mortgage is more significant. And the reason it's more significant is it's giving access to a broader base of people to have the opportunity to own their homes instead of renting. And that for me is fantastic. And it's where the government should be at. I don't think I've ever seen such a significant round of incentives in the property market in a generation. The last time I can remember anything like this happening was literally way back in the 70s, where we had the right to buy scheme on council housing. It's the only time I can remember when we've had such phenomenal incentives to buy property. Number one, the removal of stamp duty up to 500,000, meaning a £15,000 saving. Number two, they've now tapered that. This is an interesting one. What Rishi has done, which is something that's been a surprise to some, as he's tried to taper the scheme. So in other words, now, as long as you buy before the end of June, you still receive the full discount on your stamp duty. The first £500,000 is free if you're a first or second time buyer. If you're a buy-to-let investor, you still pay the 3% duty that you would have paid anyway, but you don't pay the additional rate. So you're still saving that maximum £15,000. After that, he said that stamp duty threshold will start between June and September at 250,000 instead of the 125,000 that it normally would be. And this is an interesting one. And the reason for this is the average house price across the UK is 249,000. So clearly he's thinking there that by stepping this down one, instead of the whole market tumbling off a cliff, what he's actually doing is given an interim time where people can adjust to the new higher tax regime. I'm not sure that it will make a significant difference, though, when you think that if you buy up till the end of June, you're saving £15,000 if you're buying at £500,000. And after that, the saving goes down to about £2,000. So I'm not sure it's enough to make a difference. But nonetheless, that's the idea, is the tapering. That's the thinking behind it. And it's an interesting one. But how do you get a 95% mortgage? Well, they'll be available from April this year. We understand the great thing is that they're not just for new build properties, they're for the second-hand market. We understand that they will not be linked exclusively to first-time buyers as well, or restricted to new build properties. That's great news. Now, you'll be able to fix your initial mortgage rate for at least 5 years. And this is great too, because it will give people that added security. People will be able to say, look, I know what my rate will be for the next 5 years. Therefore, if you're used to renting and you're used to having the comfort of knowing what that rent is for a fixed period of time, then you couldn't guarantee that rent for 5 years, could you? You certainly couldn't guarantee it at the same level here in London over a 5-year period. And so it will be reassuring for buyers to be able to do that. What will be interesting is to see what supply there is of these mortgages. How many people will it be available to? We understand there'll be a few thousand every month, but I think there'll be a big shortfall and a huge level of applications going in from first-time buyers who previously could not afford. And more people I see coming into that fray. And the great thing about that is if it works successfully and there's enough money allocated to the schemes, then we can see a situation where all the people that have been trapped in their flats, desperate to sell but not able to for reasons of Grenfell fireworks, EWS1, as they come out of this and those works are carried out, or at least they have an indication of costs, then there'll be a situation where first-time buyers can jump into those spaces, glad to get on the ladder for their first home. And those people, perhaps now with children or needing outdoor space, especially since lockdown, are able to move on and sell their properties. So it's quite an exciting time, and could be really, really good. But it does require access to those first-time buyer mortgages, and it remains to be seen how easy that will be to get. We'll be monitoring that quite carefully. Friday, my favorite day of the week, as many of you will know. As agents, one of the things, our big job is to get people around to the houses we have on the market for sale, on the flats we have for sale. And people decide on what they're viewing quite often on a Friday. They decide what their weekend plans are. Weekends, particularly Saturdays, are a huge day for us in terms of number of viewings. They double or treble any other day. So our job today is to get everybody out and viewing, and we love to do that. And it's just a different day for us, Saturday. And Friday's the day where we have the big push, selling everything, making sure that if people are out there viewing, they're viewing our properties through us and not through our competitors. So looking forward to a busy day on that. And things are going quite well. Really pleased with Rishi this week. No capital gains tax either. That's a big surprise. We expected capital gains tax to go up, and that would have been a problem for buy-to-let investors, both present and future. And they've held that down as well. And as far as the business rates, business taxes are concerned, the rates of tax have actually not increased for small businesses up to 250,000. And even then, they only increase in 2023. Happy weekend to you too, London Chef. It's looking good. As far as I'm concerned, a really positive housing market budget. We're excited to see the impact on it. We're starting to see calls coming in. We can't yet see that it's a flood in any way by any means, but we can certainly see an uplift in confidence. One of the invisible drivers in the housing market is exactly that. People being confident that the road ahead is clear for house price growth, because in the end, everybody digs into their own position and wants to make sure that if they're buying a house now, that it's the best time to buy. What is the best time to buy? Nobody can ever tell you that. One of the things I always say is, if you wait for the best time to buy, you'll never buy. And buying property and making profit, for most of us, is about the long game. And what I mean by that is by buying and holding property in the medium to long term, the statistics show that we always win, as you can see from the graph behind us, or whether you can see the timeline on that. But it does demonstrate that over time, house price growth is always there. And that's because we never have a sufficient supply of property here in the UK. We don't build as much as we need. We're a heavily populated island. We're a popular island. We're now coming out of the pandemic. And I think we've kind of got the perfect storm of all things coming together. We're being released from lockdown. The vaccine rollout has been absolutely incredible in this country. The efficacy has been better than we expected. We've got low interest rate economy. People have itchy feet coming out of this and thinking, right, what next? So there'll be a lot of action in the property market. We're looking forward to a very busy year now, especially pre-September. And then after that, we'll see. But I think that the main thing is the spring market. And that's because most of us choose to move in the springtime. And so the spring is an absolutely critical market for us. And now with the good news on the stamp duty extension until June, people can buy in the spring with confidence that they've got a good chance of getting their sale through in time to make that £15,000 saving. And for the rest of the UK, of course, that doubling of the threshold means that there'll be no tax up to the first 250,000, and that will be significant for many across the UK. So exciting times. We'll be reporting to you daily on what the market sentiment is, what people are saying, how prices are going here in London and the rest of the UK, and of course reporting on the major property headlines as well. So I hope you stay safe and well. Have a fantastic weekend and a fantastic day today. Look after yourselves and your families. We'll be back with another Ken at 10 Monday morning.